Hi guys, welcome back to Alter Curated. Today we're going to be talking about creative burnout and dips in my energy being really unpredictable. So I can never go with the flow essentially because as a chronically ill person, as a person who is struggling with an illness that we have to manage through lifestyle changes constantly because it can flare up at different stages of your life if you're not managing your time correctly. As a person with a chronic illness like that, I have to be able to go with the flow of the seasons that I'm in and also manage my time in a really unpredictable, unconventional way because dips in my energy are just, it makes life impractical to work with. It makes time management difficult. It makes your life overall difficult. So you have to make some lifestyle changes and find the right kind of balance which works with you so that you can break out of destructive patterns and thought loops that we often tend to get into. So, this is an episode basically that's going to be about finding balance when circumstances are basically erupting in chaos and you just want to be able to stay grounded and centered within yourself. And I feel like reflecting on this past year, I feel like there was still destructive patterns that were repeating. While I've not struggled with destructive patterns and repeating them of any sort, I have been in stages of victimhood and apathy and all of that stuff. And I've had to do inner work to heal out of that stages of victimhood or apathy or numbness. But I've not per se repeated a self-sabotaging pattern over and over again in order to learn from it. And this was my year of doing that. And I feel like I'll have to do a fair amount of inner work still to be able to not repeat that self-sabotaging destructive pattern again and again. I feel like it's one of avoidance, and I'll be the first person to confess here that I've been avoiding some things, and it's like an inability to process residual grief that is coming up for me. And so, what I've been doing, what the next 3 months look like for me, is like therapy and inner work, also integrating healing, integrating the wisdom and the knowledge and the lessons I've learned so far. It's about stabilizing, recalibrating, facing fears, and not slipping back into old mental loops. So I feel like more than ever before, we are more prone, more primed, more evolved to slipping back into old mental loops that are induced by primarily social media and social media comparisons and kind of like having a long list of online mutuals as well as IRL friends as well as online friends that are in your roster, in your inner and outer circle of acquaintances and whatnot. And I feel like having a roster is also very, in terms of romantic relationships, is very normalized, but I don't think that should be the case. And I think like ultimately, if you feel like it's for your long-term benefit, don't think of how people will perceive you. Just do the thing that's for your long-term benefit. Don't stay stuck or loyal to a self-sabotaging negative pattern just because you think, oh, what will she think of me if I do this for myself. Just do it because for the long term it's going to be the right choice, and you don't have to stay loyal to any pattern, way of being, habit that you feel like, oh, if I don't stay loyal to this, I'm going to be judged or perceived in this incorrect way. No, you don't have to care about that. That's not your responsibility. That's not your job. And I feel like you need to just do the thing that's for your best and highest good and trust that it will work out while maintaining a healthy level of detachment towards like how you're perceived and what people think of you. Because people are always going to think something negatively. People are always going to be perceiving you a certain way and judging you in certain ways, and they don't necessarily hold that standard towards themselves, right? And as people who do a lot of inner work and do not hold double standards of healing towards other people, you have to be very mindful of when you're slipping into old mental loops that just keep you stuck. And you have to kind of choose yourself in some capacity, because you are the soul that's living inside your vessel. At the end of the day, you have to deal with the consequences of your decisions. So why not choose yourself? Because you can keep them on a pedestal forever. You can put their needs first. You can care about how you're going to be perceived by them. But at the end of the day, your mind is inhabited by your body. You have to think and live for yourself. So I believe in giving yourself a million chances over, if that means you have peace at the end of the day. And then what that looks like for me is like going to therapy, doing a lot of inner work, doing a lot of emotional grief processing, because I let my grief consume me at times. And all I've been able to watch lately is like Andrew Garfield's videos on grief. And I feel like he's such an empathetic and caring person. He's so open hearted, so warm, so kind, so genuine. And I feel like he's just expressive in ways, even when he's consumed by grief. He's just very kind, very gentle. And when he's comfortable, he's able to speak of grief in really tender, articulate ways. And I feel like there was this other podcast as well I was listening to. I think it was Vanessa Fontana's podcast. The guy was radiating such warm energy that I thought, oh my God, he's loving this person in a way as if he's never been through a day of heartbreak in his life. And I thought, what I would give to be a person like that. It was so aspirational, and I was so transformed by it, by like medias of Andrew Garfield talking about his grief, and like the person on Vanessa Fontana's podcast. And I was like, that's what it looks like for me, is to live as if I'm an open-hearted person, and like warm and kind and funny in the deepest throes of my grief, in all-consuming pain. All I can think of is tenderness and how to navigate through that in the best possible way. I don't think of acting out of trauma or responding in this really off-putting way because I'm reacting out of trauma or out of fear, or reacting to things instead of responding to them. I want to be able to respond to stuff after I've thoughtfully examined myself and questioned myself. And what I feel like doing is like just getting a lot of sun, because I have a vitamin D deficiency. I feel like getting a lot of sun helps me with that. Movement helps me with that. Not being too hard on myself, being accepting of my body image, being accepting of where I'm at in life also helps me with that. It's also like we are so connected than ever before. I feel like in a way that we weren't really supposed to be. And it's kind of fragmenting us in ways that we weren't before. So we have to compartmentalize certain things. I'm gonna take a beat to think about this. Okay. I feel like the broader alignment of these community spaces and building a life that feels abundant and sustainable also. I feel like community is harder to find, mostly because people have so much accessibility of options, and those options confuses them, because they're like, this person can be disposable because I have the option to connect to another one because of the internet. But I think disposability culture is not really okay, and we were born on earth to care about people and one another. And I feel like I'm trying to live by that intentionality. I also feel like, oddly enough, that I'm self-aware, but I'm still giving into patterns I can't help but perpetuate. And like, I'm self-aware, but I'm still repeating negative self-destructive cycles. I feel like that's been particularly hard for me, and I'm not one to learn everything and then share my journey. I just want to share my journey when I'm in the midst of it. So I'm just saying this as a person who still has healing to do, who's still a work in progress. Like, I'm not exempt from repeating negative self-destructive patterns just because I'm self-aware. Sometimes you can't help but give into human errors or make mistakes or be prone to stuff like that. But I also think I have a tendency to be harder on myself, and that further perpetuates the pattern I'm seeking to break. And that's really tough because I hold myself to a moral standard of healing. Otherwise, I'm a bad person, and I hold others to that same standard. And I feel like having such fear-based responses to people behaving a certain way, or having such fear-based responses to me behaving a certain way, is not really fruitful for me. Even though having standards is a good thing, I feel like I operate from a more scarce mindset, of a more paranoid mindset, because I'm like, everybody's out to hurt me, and this person, I don't know, I think I'm just paranoid and I'm getting into thought loops again. So I'm just gonna change the topic, because this has been the broader major theme of the last 2 years of my life to navigate, is like connections with other people and interpersonal relationships and repair with other people. So what I'm also working on is showing up in social media spaces across the universe. I'm expanding on social media without fear of judgment or fear of being perceived, because that's definitely something I struggle with. And I feel like if I uproot the fear from the roots, I can really succeed in those spaces. What that looks like for me is also like working on a business idea and like creating momentum with that, and like community building, stabilizing my health, financial frugality, and like intentional social media usage. I have to live a life that is expansion. Like, I have to live a life that's centered around expansion and stepping into my true flow. I have to live a life around devotion to my values, devotion to my truth, the courage to be seen, having baby steps, having something activated within me in the past 3 months, where I feel like also in the past 3 months something has been activated within me to show up more in terms of being seen and not hiding away myself, IRL and online. I feel like I've been seeking community a lot more and long-term stability. And I think I have to be able to transmute and alchemize my energy through processing my grief, because as a person who's chronically ill, that condition is going to flare up multiple points of time throughout my lifespan. So to manage that condition, I have to maintain some sort of lifestyle changes. And to maintain those sort of lifestyle changes, I have to be able to, constantly do inner work on myself. And that inner work and that constant excavation and kind of recalibration and integration can be very exhausting. So that's something I've been working with. I feel like all I can do these days is watch, is like consume media about grief and pain and transformation. But I also feel like it's important, the arts are important. I've not been able to stay informed as much about the state of the world, because I've been just too focused on handling my own and like not risking empathy burnout. because I have focused on that before and like risked being into a really doomer mindset. But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I'm also looking forward to giving some journaling prompts. I think you can transform your energy by asking yourself the right questions, and self questioning yourself in that capacity is very fruitful because it gives you a lot of mental clarity of thought and a lot of data about yourself to work with so that you can make better decisions, navigate life in a more fruitful, abundant manner. I also want to transform my wealth in some capacity. I think that's going to be it for today's episode. This is an audio format episode because I'm not really in the space as somebody who's like a creative, whose experiences burnout very often, has unpredictable dips in energy and stuff like that. I feel like as a creative like that, I cannot be the most presentable at all times, and I have to meet you guys at the depth I have met myself at in this capacity as well, because if I show up for myself fully, then only I'll be able to show up for you guys fully. So right now, this is the best I can do basically. And I hope you guys have a good, fruitful day next week ahead. I think September is ending soon and October is beginning. So it is the season of the witch, yeah. And I will not be burnt at the stake in this lifetime. So I'm just putting that energy out there. I will not be burnt at the stake for speaking my truth. And I wish a lot of healing, fruitful abundance, a lot of community, nourishing community, deep, soulful connections for us. I wish we have nourishing meals, nourishing beverages, we have experience deep transformative love and so much healing that our wildest dreams come in front of our eyes beyond our recognition. And that's gonna be it. Please leave your thoughts in the comments below. Oh, I wanted to add something. If you have to be a better conversationalist, I feel like being present with your thoughts is gonna make you a better conversationalist, because if you're just half-assing and multitasking so many things, I think like you're not gonna be able to give presence and awareness to all of your thoughts and not going to be able to articulate them in the most effective way possible. So I feel like to be a better conversationalist, you have to like be a deeply present person and like engage with other people in that deep capacity, so that people can just savor your words and not have to rush through them and not feel like they're half-hearted or half engaged in conversation. Yeah, that's what I wanted to end this on, and I'm wishing a warm, sunny, happy day ahead. And bye guys, welcome back to Alter Curated.